Writing good romance is not about writing compelling kissing scenes, although those can be fun to read. Writing a good romantic relationship all comes down to how well you can create tension. That toe-curling feeling that readers get that just makes them want to grab a book and scream, "Will they just kiss already?" doesn't happen if you have your characters make out in chapter 1. It comes from creating effective romantic tension between two characters that is drawn out long enough to make readers really, really want there to be a romance that happens. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how I create that effect. As a disclaimer, I write thrillers that have romance subplots in them. I do not write romance books. This is coming from someone who really likes reading and writing those just relationships between two characters that just make you want to scream, like, "Will you just kiss already?" at the page. To me, all of the most juicy, best romance happens before the characters have even kissed. And so that is where this is coming from. That is just the romance I like to write in my books. That's what I like to read. And so this method is focused way more on building tension and that kind of slow burn tension that to me is really juicy to read about. But if you are a steamy romance author, that might not be what effect you're trying to create. So just wanted to put that on the top of this video. In this video, I'm going to share my strategy for how I develop a romantic relationship over the course of a book and give you like a couple of the landmarks that I use and the beats that I try to hit over the course of a story. So the first thing that you need to do when you decide that you want to write romance in your story is to pay attention to what elicits a reaction in you while you're reading. What do you find enjoyable about reading romance, and why do you want to include it in your story? I made a video a couple of months ago about the psychology of writing, where I shared this talk that I listened to by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And in that talk, she suggested all writers should make and keep an id list of things that just bring them indescribable pleasure while they're reading and consuming media. You don't have to know the reason why you like these things. There doesn't have to be a reason. You just have to recognize that you like them and write them down and keep track of them somehow. Because people read in general mostly for pleasure and to be entertained, but especially romance. People really read romance to get a certain feeling. And if you're going to incorporate romance in your story, you want to make sure that you give them the feeling that they're looking for. And the best way to do that is by figuring out what gives you that feeling. Maybe you really like it when you have two characters that really hate each other and they spend a lot of the book fighting and then all of a sudden are in the middle of fighting and then they start kissing, and that's really exciting to you, and so you write that on your id list. Or maybe you really like it where they start kissing at the beginning and then all of a sudden there are all these complications and they have to work through the complications, but they like each other through the entire story. That might also be something that brings you pleasure. So keep track of those things, because those things are really important and they're going to be important to come back to while you are fleshing out your story and your relationship. I keep an id list. I'm pretty diligent about it because there are a lot of things that just have effects on me while I'm reading. I don't really understand why, but I like writing them down and going back to them. So I have this list already. So when I am sitting down to create a new romantic subplot, or if I am starting to write a project and I know I have a couple in it that I want to have romantic tension between to build over the course of the story, the first thing that I do when I sit down to plot out the story is I try to create a compelling dynamic between the two characters. No romance is going to work if your two characters are not fully fleshed out individual people. Before you even think about the romance, you want to make sure that you flesh out your characters. Nobody wants to read about two cardboard cutouts falling in love, because that's really boring. What is very interesting is if you have two fully fleshed out characters that are individual people. There are so many romance stories out there that all follow the same structure, but they all deliver pleasure in slightly different ways because the characters are individuals. So I start with each of these characters, and I try to pay attention to what brings me the most pleasure as I'm outlining the characters and trying to bring them to life a little bit more. These two characters need to complement each other somehow. And so it really depends on your process, whether you want to start with the archetype or just general character dynamic you want to follow between the characters and then build them out from there, or if you want to start with the characters themselves and then fine-tune them until you have a dynamic that works well together. Because the unfortunate thing about writing romance is that it's kind of like real life. Some characters have chemistry and some characters don't. And you know that characters have chemistry when it's there, but you also know when it's not there. And there's no one way to create chemistry between two characters. And that's the really frustrating thing. But that's why it's really important to listen to your internal voice. And I know this is a piece of very vague advice, but that's why I want you to pay attention to your id list and try to dial in to what makes you happy and what brings you pleasure and what feels right to you as you're writing, and use that as a compass as you're creating these dynamics. You don't want to have two characters that are exactly the same either. It's kind of hard for two characters that are exactly the same to fall in love because they're probably going to not have very many natural sources of conflict. It doesn't have to be this cut and dry, but that is why you'll often see in romance books one character who is very grumpy and another character who's very happy, or you'll have another one who's very type A and another one who's very creative, or another one who is extremely closed-minded and regimented in their thinking, and another one who is more of an open mind and push the boundaries type of thinker. These two characters complement each other in some way, and you'll find looking around you that I bet a lot of couples in real life also complement each other in similar ways. So these dynamics are all present in our real life too. But when you're building out your characters, you want to be pretty intentional about making sure you don't write like two characters that are completely the same, because then they're not going to bounce off of each other and have that kind of banter back and forth that is just really juicy and exciting to read about in romance. If you're looking for videos on how to create more fleshed out characters, I have made a couple on my channel, and I plan to make more as I try to develop a method for building very fleshed out characters. I have made videos sharing my own personal process, but I have yet to translate that into a method, and so I'm working on that, and those will come out at some point. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell if you would like to be notified when I do post those. So once I finish creating these two three-dimensional characters and know that I want to make them fall in love, the next thing I do is create some conflict or opposition between them. It can either be a personality clash, like one is very grumpy, one is very happy, and they just don't get along with each other. It can also be a story clash, like one of them is an overeager government employee who really wants to better the park system, and the other one who's come in with the sole purpose to cut their budgets. They are in opposition with each other, and that creates some conflict between the two characters. You can find these sort of built-in conflicts in a lot of romance tropes, like enemies to lovers, my best friend's sister, even friends to lovers. There's a reason that they can't be together, and that's because they don't want to sacrifice their friendship. You can also have characters that are pretty indifferent to each other and not really care one way or another, but it's a little bit more electric usually if you have some sort of conflict between them. Not always. I just read a book where the characters never disliked each other at the beginning, and their romance just was unbelievably well written and gripped me the entire way through the series. So I'm not saying that it can't be done, but this is typically the model that I follow. So this is what I sketch out next, is just this sort of conflict or clash between them, because then that gives them something to argue about or banter about that typically creates some chemistry between them. But there's also such thing as very quiet chemistry where they're not arguing with each other, so that's another thing that you can pursue as well. But in my experience, creating banter between characters is a really great way to create chemistry. This usually takes up the first portion of the book. Like, your characters meet each other, there's some sort of meet cute or just meet. If you're writing a romance novel, it should probably be a meet cute, but if you're writing like a thriller, your inciting incident is not going to be them meeting the love interest. Doesn't mean you can't have a meet cute in there, but sometimes they just meet. And then the beginning part of their relationship is them bantering or arguing or just kind of starting to get to know each other a little bit and maybe not really liking each other at the beginning, until at some point in the first half of the book, they encounter the first change point. This change point is a moment of vulnerability that the two characters share that pushes them from being adversarial with each other in some way to letting their guard down with the other one and seeing that person in a new light. This can take a ton of different forms, but I've seen it a lot where like the characters are attacked and they, like, one of them saves the other one, or the other one is having a breakdown and the other one walks in on them and comforts them or says something oddly encouraging. One really good example of this is in the book Red, White, and Royal Blue, where Alex and Henry are at a children's hospital, I think, or at some kind of hospital. And in this book, it's a romance novel between the first son of the United States and the Prince of England. And the two of them are like doing press at a children's hospital together. And there is some sort of scare, and the two of them have to take cover with each other, like in a closet somewhere, and they like fall on top of each other. And they had hated each other up until this point. But this moment where they were both a little on edge and nervous about what was happening allowed them to break down that wall and actually be vulnerable and real with each other for the first time. And after that one little moment of vulnerability, they actually started to be friendly with each other. It's not like they fell in love right there, but this pushed them out of the adversarial phase and into what I typically think of as the friendly tension building phase. And in this friendly tension building phase, after the first change point, they start being nicer to each other. They are more friendly and actually seem to enjoy each other's company a little bit more. And more than that, they start to look for each other. They start paying attention to each other. They start thinking about each other more. And once you show the characters reaching towards each other a little bit, you pull away from it and you have one of them retreat, or something happens and maybe one character is wondering why that other character is retreating, and then they come together more again. In this section, I like to think of the two characters as almost being on parallel lines. So you have both of them that are traveling across the story together like this. But your job as the author in the push and pull section is to create things that move the characters farther apart and then bring them back together so that their lines go like this over the course of this section. This is how you create tension. Your job is to bring them almost all the way up to a kiss as slowly as possible, and do it building on little things. Like you start with the first hand brush and then you pull away. And then you have it be like, you know, the first hug and then they pull away. And then a moment where maybe they think about kissing and then they pull away. And so after a couple of times of doing that, the readers are like, when are they actually going to kiss? Then you get to the point of the almost kiss and the almost breakthrough. And once that happens, the whole relationship changes. Up until that point, your characters should be able to convince themselves that nothing is really happening there and that they are overthinking things, or maybe they have feelings that they might not really be able to understand yet. But at the almost kiss, it fundamentally changes the game because they realize that they like this person. And after I do the almost kiss, I try to do my biggest pullback yet, where I make the main character doubt if anything is ever going to really happen, and then they're sad about it because they wanted that and they were aching for that even if they didn't realize it at the time. And only after you do the biggest pullback yet do you have the final breakthrough and they finally kiss. Now, this doesn't all have to take place over the course of one book, depending on what genre you're writing. If you're writing a romance, this is probably too slow for a romance book, unless you're writing a slow burn romance, in which case this would probably be fine. But in my series, I had this happen over the course of 2 books before my main couple kissed for the first time. I know a lot of books do this, where they'll have the couple actually get together in book 2, and they'll just leave book 1 on this like longing. They're still in that push-pull section that's just so tense and juicy and interesting and fun to read. But my map of what I do with my slow burn romance looks something like this. Each squiggly line represents one of the characters in this relationship, and the closer they are to each other, the closer that they are in the scenes, like either they're touching hands or like thinking about sitting next to each other, or they're hugging, or just like something is happening there. And the farther apart they are, the more they're wondering whether they actually like that person, whether anything's happening at all, second-guessing themselves and feeling distanced from that person. How you bring them close together and how you bring them far apart really depends on the book that you're writing, but some examples of ways that I've done this are times that like a character has gotten injured and the other person has helped them clean up their wound, and they're both like in a very small cramped up bathroom, and so they're like physically close together, and there's more physical contact as they're touching each other like to clean out the wound, and it's a very intimate scene because they're close together in that moment. And then they're not talking because they felt awkward because, you know, they kind of crossed a line there where they were really close and they'd never been that close before, so they both felt awkward. And then they get brought back together after something really scary happens, and they go confide in the other one, and they're both like, they end up in one of their bedrooms and the door is closed, and they just have a moment where they're looking at each other, and then the character goes and like the boy goes over and he just kisses the girl unexpectedly. That was the closest they'd ever gotten to almost kissing when they were cleaning out the wounds. And then that was as far apart as they got when they got super, super awkward and they weren't talking. And then obviously that was the closest they ever got because they kissed for the first time after that. The longer you can draw out the tension, to me, the better. I'm all over slow burn, highly tense romances. And this is a good formula and way to incorporate romance when you're not writing a romance-centered book, but you still want to have some romance in your story. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful. If it was, I would be super grateful if you could give this video a like and also subscribe to my channel. My name is Claire Freeze, and I'm an award-winning author that makes videos on this channel sharing actionable writing tips that helped me make my own writing better. I have written a 5-book series that has romance in pretty much all of the books. It's a paranormal thriller horror series, but I have a main couple that I develop over the course of those 5 books, and a couple of smaller romances sprinkled in there too. So I have not written romance books, but I have written books with romance in them. But if you want to read some of my favorite slow burn romances in young adult fiction, I highly recommend going and picking up the book None Shall Sleep by Ellie Marney. This was fantastic and brilliantly done. Just everything about this book was absolutely perfect. And I also highly recommend reading the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Also fantastic, also great romances. Do you have any tips for writing slow burn romance that I did not include in this list? If so, I'd love it if you could drop those in the comments. I'd love to hear what's really helped you, and I'm sure other people in our community would like that as well. I hope you have a good week, everybody. And as always, happy writing.